Welcome back, everyone, to Kasim and John Teach Google Ads. Today, we're talking about keyword match times. What are you laughing?
No, I'm just usually I say something like yeah, so I'm just gonna be quiet and see what happens.
Yeah. Today, we're talking about keyword match types, which might be, I think, like the very first most confusing thing that Google throws at you when you're learning Google Ads.
Yeah.
Everything makes a ton of sense, and then all of a sudden, there's kind of this Hail Mary that they lob across.
And like, what do those symbols mean? I don't know the difference.
Right. So, yeah, this will be a good video.
Yeah, and I think that's really important too because a lot of people will, when they get in there, they start with exact match. A, because they think they know exactly what people are going to be typing in, and B, they just don't know what phrase or broad match means. Or they'll start with all broad.
That's what I was going to say. My experience has always been like the newbies, not always, but the newbies generally start with broad match, and then you hop into their campaign and you're like, what have you done?
Yeah, and it's funny because broad match modifier isn't actually a part of Google Ads that you can see right off the bat. And it's very strange because when you choose broad match, it's just broad match. There's no plus symbols. So, and I'll actually share with you what I mean, because it's a selection that doesn't really make sense. So here's some keywords here, and we can see says January 1 great conversion rates, 10, 10, 16, 12, 28, 12, 14, 21, like good performing keywords and all different types. We don't have too many phrase match, and I'll get to that here in a moment, but you can see broad match modified and exact match both work really well. But what's interesting is when you first start a keyword, you can see where it says broad match. Well, broad match will default to this here. It won't have any plus symbols. When you click on phrase, it'll change into phrase. When you click on exact, it'll change it to exact. But when you click on broad, it just stays broad. So you never really know that broad match modifier is actually a thing if you're first starting out. And that's what gets people to say, well, I don't know what phrase means. I don't know exact. I'm guessing that means, this is exactly how I type it. But broad match, it looks like the keyword that I want to type in, so I'm just going to choose that.
Well, do me a favor, go back and explain each of those in sequence, and which I'm sure is on your list, but I just wanted to contribute.
Yeah. So straight broad match with no plus symbols. Think about topical categories, I guess, and in the broadest sense. So gasoline is broadly matched to car, is broadly matched to engine, is broadly matched to combustible liquid. So when you think about broad match, you're thinking about like a topic and all the ways that you can describe that topic, or not even synonyms, because synonyms get really specific. It's just like related topics. So if you think about broad match, it's the worst for hyperspecificity, but it's the best for just saying, I don't know what to bid on, so bid on this and I'm going to see what comes in. But where people usually drop the balls, they don't look at the search terms and say, oh wow, like I'm actually generating that search term for that keyword. Those two aren't even relevant in my industry, so I need to change that.
Well, let me connect those dots for you real quick, just so if you're brand new to Google Ads, a lot of people don't realize that Google is going to show you not just the terms that you're bidding on, but also the terms that you pay for. And the terms that you pay for are far more specific, and to John's point, will illustrate some of the expansion that Google is providing. So if you're bidding on gasoline, but then you actually end up paying for a combustible engine, then your bid is going to show up in your search keywords, but then the combustible engine is going to show up in your search terms. And then you can further canvas your campaign settings from there.
Right, and you can do that here in search terms. And in search terms, when you go to the column section, you can actually go to attributes and click the keyword and drag the keyword up to the top. And what this will actually do is share with you, this is the keyword that you're bidding on. And this is what people are typing in that triggered that keyword to say, yes, this is the keyword that needs to show the ad. So text to donate, text to donate, text to get platforms, text to get platforms. And you'll actually see
is we don't have a client that's going to run like expansive broad match. So we're not going to be able to show people just how disjointed those end up being.
Well, what's interesting is there is still that happening, and I'll be able to share that with you in a minor sense, but not as like completely off base wrong as what it would normally be if you're just doing straight broad. But let me see if I can do.
Well, there you go. Text to donate to charity gift gaff, and we've got text donating.
Well, that has that here and here.
Well, I know, but you know, so
Yeah.
now we have like charity and gift gap. You can start to kind of see where Google's like, oh, that sounds reasonable.
But here we go. Donate by text, and that's exact match. Receive text donations. So that's not an exact match. So you can see how even exact match is not really even exact match
Google
anymore.
doesn't understand the term exact.
Yep. So let me explain the match types here though too. Is when it has a plus symbol, we're telling Google whatever the key phrase is, it needs to only include or needs to include at least whatever has a plus symbol in my keywords. So don't plus text and plus donate. We're telling Google if anybody types in the words text and donate in their search query, we want to show up. So
That can be in any order, in any distribution,
Yep.
in any sentence. So it could be start with like a long sentence where text is at the beginning, donates at the end, and you're still gonna land.
Yeah, even vice versa, like how to donate to causes via text. That would work because it has those two words in there. Now, phrase match, I mean, look where we have a phrase match one. We don't use it too much. There we go. So text donations. Phrase match means it has to be typed in this way into Google. It has to have the word text first. It has to have the word donations next. It can't have anything in between there. And it can't have donations first. It has to say text donations, but you can have words before and after. So how to receive text donations.
Text donations, yeah, exactly.
Yep. How to receive text donations, whatever it is. So that has to have that word has to have something of saying yada yada yada, text donations, yada yada yada. It has to go that way. And then exact match used to be that they have to type in this exactly. With plurals are okay. So text and texting, texts, those are fine. But it has to have the word text to donate platform. 90% of the time, it will be really, really accurate. And when it's not 100% accurate, where it's not an exact match, it'll be very, very, very close. So what we usually like to do is use more longer tail broad match modified whenever possible. Sometimes there's just not a possibility to use long tail broad match modified like this. Right here, these are two words, three words. But you can see with conversion rates at 10, 10, and 16, it's okay. But you can see how the one that has three words in it is a 16%
pause, dude. Go back. 10, 10, and 16% conversion rates.
Yeah.
On broad match modified key phrases.
Right, which people are saying, not possible, can't do it. No, that's not gonna work. But what's funny is broad match modifier is majority of the time cheaper than exact match. Like for here, for example, we look at average cost of 12 on text to give. That's double of, or about 30% higher, 40% higher than what our average is.
Google some room to expand it, kind of just a little bit friendlier. But you've got 10, 11, 10, 10, 16, 12, 28. What is 28? Oh, that's exact match.
Yeah. So exact match though, it is more expensive on average.
Right.
And when you know the keyword, it will work really, really well. And for conversion rates. And here's the sequence to get there. Our standard operating procedure is starting with obviously all three: broad match modifier, phrase match, exact. But use more broad match modifier than anything else, unless you just know what the keyword is or you have something you really want to test. But using broad match modifier first allows you to look through the search terms and find out that when that broad match modifier got the most amount of hits, take that keyword and turn it into exact match if you want to, if you need to. You don't necessarily have to. Because it will raise the cost per click, but it will raise the conversion rate. So sometimes you just turn out equally, paying the same amount of money per lead. But for this one, for example, this was a broad match modified, $7, 21% conversion rates, and $32 cost per conversion. The exact match, $30 cost per conversion. So about the same cost per conversion. Even though the conversion rate is 7% higher on this, you're still paying the same. So sometimes
conversion rates and paid ads. I mean, that's unheard of. That's that's phenomenal.
Right, and so that's what's kind of nice is looking at this too. We have to think about if we start with broad match modified first, and then see all the different ways people are typing in the words we know that they at least type in. Once you identify those phrases, you can turn into phrase match, or when you have something that's like always really, really exactly the same, turn into exact match if you want to. And then that that's a keyword that's like kind of your good, your set. And then you sculpt that keyword by turning that or taking that exact match phrase and adding that as a negative to the broad match modified ad group. So it's a way for you to say, if it is exact, put it over towards this ad group, which we know is exact keyword, so that we can have good, clear data. But any other variants of it, I still want to find out. So leave the rest of them back to the broad match modified.
You can continue to follow that paradigm, right? So if you're in your exact match ad group, and then you start getting some expansion through the search terms, because exact isn't always exact. So let's say there's a minor misspelling or whatever, then you add that misspelling to the negative keyword in the exact match, so it pushes it to the broad match modified.
You could, yeah. Normally what you do is you would add that, if you ever add anything to the exact match ad group, take that exact match keyword and add that as a negative keyword to the broad match.
No, that's what I meant. So like the exact match, I'm adding a negative keyword for a misspelling or some type of expansion, so that if it happens again, we're basically keeping exact match to be actual true blue exact match.
Yeah, I would say that a misspelling though could be still.
Well, just as an example, yeah. You know how Google's getting a little liberal with their exact match, and
right.
If we want to start to try to keep them honest, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you have like, those two keywords that are pretty synonymous with each other, but it's not exactly the same word, but it's still showing up exact match. Exactly, house and home for exactly.
Yeah.
So, yep. So you want to add those negative keywords into your exact match campaign to make sure it always pushes that back over to the broad match, and then see what other phrases pop up.
Everybody watching, John and I had the highest performing real estate investment campaign in the world, and we could prove that with data. We sold that agency last year, June 2019.
Oh man, I thought it was like September though.
Whenever
it took a while. Yeah.
We had it for 7 years before we sold it, and we found out a ton of really amazing things. John found a substantive difference between the words buy, buyer, and buying, but we also found that there was a significantly higher quality to leads that came in saying the word house instead of the words home. And John had a theory about that being just a psychological attachment to the property because they're using the word home. But regardless, Google's going to treat those in some instances synonymously. So if you're bidding on exact match, sell my house, Google could potentially give you a sell my home. And so you might want to start sculpting around that if you know that house is more valuable than home.
Yep, absolutely. Because it's the vernacular, the intent words, emotional connection words, those are all sense of urgency words like fast, now, today. All of those have a big impact as to what your conversion rates can be. So when you're using really, really, really specific keyword strategies, think of them like my learning, my testing, and my knowing. So my learning is my broad match modifier. My testing is my phrase match. My knowing are my exact match. Don't just start off by saying, yep, I think I know exactly what's going on. Test it with data. Test it with actual conversions. Make sure those conversions are real. Make sure it's something that you're seeing positive results in, and then start to change and modify those keywords. And one of the ways that you would do that is if you have a broad match modified keyword and it's generating 2% conversion rates, which aren't really that good, but the 2% conversion rates are always coming from that one phrase that keeps popping up. Take that one phrase and turn that into a phrase match or exact match, and then just simply maybe even kill that keyword. And you might greatly now increase your conversion rates exponentially, because when that one, you might have a 30% conversion rate on that one key phrase, but it just happens to be showing up because your broad match modifier is delivering such a massive amount of influx that it's just not being specific to that keyword.
Yeah, well, that's keyword mining, right? And anybody who's watching this, if you're brand new to Google Ads, or if you're starting a new campaign inside of Google Ads, if you don't know what to bid on, or you don't know what people are searching on, Google's going to tell you. You have to invest a little bit, but by using some broader strategies, you'll start to see in your search terms what's working and what's not. And then, like John said, you just it's very binary at that point. It's like, this is working, this isn't, and then you find and sort of chase rabbits on holes.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is people are like, if you Google, what is the best conversion rate, it says that top 5% of Google Ads campaigns run with 11.3 or higher, or like 11.1 or higher. It could be 11.4, I forget. That's like the only 5% of Google Ads campaigns that are running. I would agree with that. When you look at this though, 11.3 on average out of all of our keywords, 11.3% conversion rates out of 119 keywords. It's not it's not hard to get through to that, but it does take time. It takes data, and that's why you see that if I sort by conversions, the conversions go down with the clicks. When you start to go down lower, you're starting to get into like the sub 10 clicks. But when you go to the higher ones, you start to see the clicks. So the conversions are scaling really equally, and all that is doing is just finding the proper keywords, setting the appropriate bid, changing it into the specific match type, adding in the proper negative keywords, and then just continually running it. So it's a process to get to there. But when you first get into Google, don't be too intimidated by, or don't be ignorant and say, I don't know what that means, so I'm just going to type this in there, because I can't tell you the damage that's been done to campaigns where, some campaigns have completely stopped running because they use all broad match keywords and they have them in 10 different ad groups. And Google says, well, that one keyword is technically multiplied 10 times, so I don't know where to send people, so your ad's not showing because your quality score and your bids are low. And that's because that one key phrase that someone typed in matches 10 of your campaigns because they're all broadly around the same thing, and your whole campaign explodes or just stops running. So it can be really detrimental if you get this wrong, or you pay $50 per click and you don't know why. It's because you're going all exact and is really specific and short tail, and tons of other companies are bidding on that. So yeah, it's really a non-starter, and a lot of times if you get this wrong.
Let's talk a bit about negative keywords, because we're building search terms. If we want to canvas negative keywords, what lateral moves can you make, or what expansion opportunities you have inside of the negative keywords to make sure that they're as tightly honed?
Yeah, I would say that starting off the bat, stick to negative keywords in your account level. When using broad match modified, you're going to find some keywords that are in there that happen more than once. That's a big indicator. If you have one impression on odd keyword, you can add as a negative keyword. Doesn't mean someone's going to search for it again, especially if it's odd. But add them to your account. Don't add them to the ad group, or don't add them to the campaign, because then as soon as you start a new campaign, all that goes away. So add the negative key phrases that are just not about your brand, service, offering, industry, whatever it is. Add that to the account level and check it very frequently. You can add them every day. And so if you added them every day, you can imagine 30 days worth of pushing away that bad traffic, you're going to automatically start to see positive increases in your campaign.
And your negative keywords are coming from your search terms. So jump in and check your search terms every day.
Yeah, check your search terms every day. And then, but you're going to see that even in this account that's been running for, I think, a year now, if I look at search terms and I look at the low impressions here, sort by like ascending, text donations, obviously, see, give to text, text to give, these are fine. Let's see, RNC, text fundraising department. Well, we're using text fundraising. Now, this is, I think, the Republican National Committee, and then they're looking for the department. I can add this as a negative key phrase here, but there's only been one impression and one click this year. So if I added that as a negative key phrase, it wouldn't have helped anything. Because in the last 7 months and 14 days, it happened one time and hasn't happened again. So adding a negative keyword would have made zero impact. You can't go, it's almost like if you break a plate and you're like, okay, I'm not going to drop it. Well, the plate's already broken. It's already going to happen. It's not something, you can't go back in time and stop that from happening unless you can do it in the future. So by replacing or adding negative key phrases at one is not going to be beneficial. What you want to start doing is seeing when those negative key phrases have more than one impression or more than one click. And there's a lot of key phrases here because we are using a lot of broad match modified, but start to look at where they start to get more. Hey, starting to get more now. We might be here for a little while.
Well, I get the point though. Like you said, oh, there you go. If you text Unite.
Yep. So Haiti was another keyword that we added just because any variations of text in Haiti was, a big popular search term. These are all good. Here we go. 2 impressions. So if every text number who reads this donates 45, so this is a very long search term. What happened was he searched twice and clicked on our ad once.
Yeah, but what you can do is add Trump as a negative keyword and then subvert that issue.
Exactly. Goodwill. I'm not going to say anything with this for very specific reasons. It's not a negative keyword for us, but if it was, I would say, okay, goodwill. Nothing that has to do with our industry. More than one person search for it, add it.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. Now, some of these are or are not applicable, but I can't say it for this exact client. But Earth Day, it is applicable to ours, but this may be something that you could pick out. So don't add your whole keyword. Look at what is like. I want text. I want donate. I don't want Earth. Okay, got it. At Earth. So identify all like the little nuances, because anything now, if you have no affiliation with the word Earth anywhere in the future, anything ever, then add it to your account, because then you can run unlimited campaigns and no, I'll never show up for the word Earth again. So that's what you want to do, is look at it when you see more than one impression. because that's when that's going to continue. Now, it doesn't have to be, over 100, but make sure that it's not just those really odd one-offs.
Yeah, well, and this is ultra relevant to the type of match type you're using. If you're using broad match, then you want to be more diligent with your search terms and negative keywords because there's more danger there. If you're using exact match, then not to say that you shouldn't use negative keywords, just to say that it's not as necessary.
Yeah, and sometimes too, what you'll find out is you get those really weird search terms, and that's actually because people are using speech to text or asking Google, "Hey Google, I would like to donate $25 to KPRC Meals Text 4144 Houston." So I think they're just telling their phone, "Hey, I'd like to donate, so text it." This person needs a little bit of help, but because that's not how phones.
3 impressions for that one.
He tried it 3 times. Him and Siri were in a fight. But yeah, so you can kind of see though that the more impressions you start to get, the more that's going to happen more frequently. So then, start to have those negatives then.
This is awesome. If you're watching and you have questions, hit us in the comments. We'll answer. We shoot one of these every day because we're awesome and we love you. So make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell.
Yeah.
Be our friends forever. I don't think there's anybody else out there putting up content like this.
I wouldn't say at this advanced level, no. We're like, giving a lot of secret sauce away here. That's taken years and years and years to build, and we're just, throwing it out into the ether. So I hope everybody does it. Yeah.
Well, and also because you should hire us, but.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a side. That's the goal. But, if not, hopefully, hopefully this helps someone too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Good talking.
Awesome.
We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.
Thug Life.